Hey everybody, before I get started, I just want to mention a couple of ways that you can engage with me on a more personal level. I have a few avenues set up and I keep focusing on one, and I figured why don't I make a short little video talking about all of them real quick before we get into these episodes. So first thing, Patreon. There's a link in the episode description, in every episode description, to the Patreon, as well as a video on the feed called Major Announcement that has all the details of what each tier offers and how much they cost. I implore you to check that out. I offer a lot of cool shit for my patrons. Second thing, the Discord channel. There's also a Discord link in the episode description and in every episode description. I have multiple channels set up there for each show that I'm covering, and it's a great way to just engage with me. I have a channel set up for MMA talk as well. I'm a big MMA fan, so if you're an MMA fan, you can check that out as well. There's a link to the Discord in the episode description. And then lastly, the Facebook and Twitter. Social media. Follow me on there. I post news on there. When I say news, I mean like, hey, I'm stopping covering this show. Hey, I'm starting covering this show. Let me know what you think about this. I do live watches of things on Facebook where like I'll check in and say I'm watching so-and-so show, and then I'll like live comment while I'm watching it, and that'll be cool if maybe you watch that show too and you want to watch along with me, or you're watching it later and you will see my thoughts, which are usually pretty entertaining because I'm usually pretty high when I'm writing them. So check out all those links in each episode description, and let's talk about this episode. Peace.
One mic, one mic. Yeah. All I need is one mic. One mic. Yeah. All I need is one mic. One mic. One mic.
Hey everybody, welcome back to One Mic, where I watch shit so you don't have to. And today I'm here to talk about Season 1, Episode 1 of Peacock's Poker Face, entitled Dead Man's Hand. So the episode title, pretty simple here. The episode itself revolves around a dead guy who played poker. So it's a pretty straightforward pun on the word hand. You know, you got hand and then card hand. Pretty simple. But doing something a little bit different with this video. I'm going to make this a non-spoilery review, and I'm going to get to why a little bit later. But I want to talk about just kind of like the concept of the show, some of the people involved in it, and then I'll talk a little bit about my thoughts on this first episode and my feelings toward the show as a whole after just one episode. And then I'll talk about what I think might happen going forward as far as my coverage of the show, whether or not I'll do that, etc. So this first episode was produced and directed by Ryan Johnson. The show is, I believe, produced and directed by Ryan Johnson. He's the showrunner. Episode 1 stars Natasha Lyonne, who we all know from, I think, primarily from Orange is the New Black, but she's been in a number of different things. She's American Pie. This first episode anyway, and I believe I heard that there's a number of guest stars that pop up throughout the course of the season. So these are not regular characters. They might like just be in this episode. But Adrian Brody is in this episode. We know Adrian Brody from a number of things. I think most well known for The Pianist, that great, phenomenal movie, came out in 2002, I believe. Dasha Polanco, who we also know from Orange is the New Black primarily, and Benjamin Bratt, who I think we all know primarily from Law and Order. So the concept of the show is what they call a How Catch 'em style of detective / mystery movie television show. If you've seen Columbo, you're already familiar with this style of television. Essentially what would happen on Columbo is we, the audience, would see the crime committed at the beginning of the episode. We already know who did it, all that good stuff. And the majority of the episode is spent following Columbo as he tries to figure out what happened and all of that. Like, essentially for us, it's how does he arrive at the correct conclusion? That's where our drama comes in at. Natasha Lyonne's character Charlie has this gift where she can tell if someone's lying. It's not even as complex as like she can also tell when they're telling the truth. She can only tell when they're lying. That's it. That's her character. Dasha Polanco's character in this episode, someone named Natalie. She works as a maid, but do they call a maid still? It doesn't fucking matter. It's not a mean term. It's a job. She works as a maid at a hotel in a casino. Adrian Brody currently runs that casino. It used to be run by his father. His name is Sterling Frost Jr., his father, Sterling Frost Sr. Obviously, we don't meet him in this episode, but this guy's reputation precedes him. I imagine we'll be seeing him at some point later in the season. And then Benjamin Bratt plays his head of security, this guy named Cliff. So my overall thoughts on the episode is that I feel like it's probably not gonna work for me. There's too many things that I think the show does that pull me out of it. Where like I'm trying to be engrossed in the show, I'm trying to be all in on the mystery, what's happening next, oh here's a clue, all this good shit, right? But I keep being pulled out of it and reminded that I'm watching a TV show by some shit that don't really make sense, or like just something that's just off, or I'm just kind of like calling bullshit on it. And there was things that I started to call bullshit on that ended up not being bullshit, which I'm that's a very big positive. But I don't know. There were just things where I just kind of came. Well, put it simply, I came out of this episode feeling like, eh. Like I didn't love it. I didn't hate it. It was eh. And I don't want to get into too much of a side tangent here, but I'm gonna be honest because if you know one thing about me, you know I really and truly do not give a fuck what people think about my opinion or about me. And that's why I do this show, by the way. This channel exists. All I do, and I never profess to tell you guys what is something that is a good show or what is a great show or is a bad show or a shitty show. I tell you what I think of the show. If you trust me and my opinion enough, you'll go, okay, that sounds like something I can fuck with. That sounds like something I don't fuck with. I don't profess to be the be-all, end-all on what's good and what isn't. But there are times where I've noticed that I just don't share an opinion with the popular group. And I don't care about that. So that's my whole point. That's why I'm going to get into this side tangent, because at the end of the day, I know what I'm about to say is not going to be very popular, and I don't give a fuck. So I found that, I think that, again, and I'm still on the for me thing, I feel like for me, I just don't fuck with Rian Johnson stuff the way everybody else does. Every time Rian Johnson come out with something new, everybody's like, oh, it's the greatest shit ever. Yeah, this Rian Johnson thing, this is great. Everybody loves it. And then I watch it, I'm just like, eh? And like, I don't know what it is, but like, everything I've seen, everything of every major project of his, aside from Glass Onion, obviously the most recent one. But like Looper, Knives Out, this, like I'm just like I don't know. I don't find his project. Oh, The Last Jedi, like, and asterisk on The Last Jedi. I don't think The Last Jedi is a bad movie. I think The Last Jedi is a bad second movie of a trilogy. That's all I'm gonna say about The Last Jedi. But Rian Johnson's work, a lot of it, aside from The Last Jedi, because there's like, you know, we can stick with the theme here of Knives Out, Glass Onion, this show, the mystery kind of thing. It seems too focused on concealing the mystery. And that's what I think we've gotten into right now. We have all these things that are like, you know, Murder on the Orient Express and, you know, the Glass Out, Knives Out, and Glass Onion and the Menu, and all of these things are like, what happened at this dinner, and all of these sorts of things, right? These things are successful because they present a mystery for everyone to solve, and we all can watch it collectively together and be like, okay, oh, there's a clue, there's what happened, and then like usually you get hit with some cool twist at the end, and you're like, oh, that was really fun. I enjoyed trying to solve this mystery with this main character. Me, however, I end up watching a lot of this stuff, and I'm just like, that character sucks. I don't like this. What's happening here? This doesn't make sense. That person's not doing what they said. Like, you know, I'm noticing all of these other flaws that somebody might consider to be the little things in the grand scheme of this murder mystery or whatever the mystery may be. But every time I'm noticing these things, it's taking me out of the movie. And I'm just kind of like, I don't know. It for me, the movie doesn't work if I'm just constantly going like, wait, what was that? How is that? How is that a thing? That doesn't make sense. And like, that seems to be a trend in a lot of his stuff. And like, it just makes it so like every time I watch something, I'm just like, that was fine. It was okay. But like, I have no passionate feelings about this show whatsoever. And I don't know if there's, at least about this first episode, and I don't know if there's a more damning thing you could say about a show other than like, I don't feel anything for it. Not passionate hatred, not passionate love. And again, I've only watched one episode, and I am going to watch more. But it's like right now, I'm just like, like, this isn't anything special to me. It's not. But like, if you're only in it for like that feeling of like, I enjoy these mysteries and these reveals and that moment at the end where it's like, here's the reveal of what happened, or here's the reveal of them catching the perpetrator. Like, if you live for that moment, that feeling you get from that, then you're gonna fucking stand for this show, I'm sure. But like, I need, like, by the time we get there, I can't have already checked out. And like, most of the time I've already, not checked out, but I'm already kind of like, there's too much shit wrong with this for me to like really be singing its praises. But I want to get into not necessarily specifics, because I wanted to keep this no spoiler, because I can't guarantee that I'm going to come back and be talking about this show again, at least on the main channel. It will definitely, if I don't come back to cover future episodes, I'll definitely be talking about it on the next Mike's Musings. So if you're curious about that, or you're watching me for the first time, you're like, what the fuck is Mike's Musings? It's a Patreon video series that I do. There's a link to the Patreon in the episode description, so check that out if you're curious about that. But I do want to talk about some things, I don't know, in a general specific, I want to talk about certain things generally. Specific things generally. I don't know. Yeah, that works. I want to talk about specific things, but in a general sense. So this episode starts with the committing of a crime. This runs, I don't know, maybe about 10 minutes or so. Then we go back in time, and we see how Natasha Lyonne's character fits into all this. And after I watched this episode, I read Alan Sepinwall's review of the show. Another side note, that's something else I don't do, just for the record. I don't know if anyone cares, but I don't read or watch other people's shit virtually at all, but especially prior to me watching and recording something, because I don't want their opinion to influence me. Now, if I'm listening to a podcast and somebody recommends a show, I can't pretend like I didn't hear it, but like, I don't seek out other people's opinions prior to giving mine, because I don't want their opinions to influence mine. I don't want their opinions. I don't want somebody to watch my opinion and think, oh, he must have seen or read so-and-so shit. Like, none of that. I don't read no shit before I watch something. None of that. But after I watched the episode, I did read Alan Sepinwall's review of this, and he seemed far more into it than I am. And I just think that's interesting that someone who is so highly respected and that I highly respect was really into something that I'm right now pretty lukewarm on. But I don't know. I just wanted to throw that out there. Like I'm kind of surprised that I didn't like this. But well, I'm not gonna say I didn't like it, but well, yes, I'm gonna say I didn't like it, but I didn't dislike it. So where did I leave off? Oh yeah, I was talking about we find out how Natasha Lyonne's character Charlie fits into this specific story about 10 minutes after we get like I said, the committing of the crime and all that kind of stuff. And one of the questions that I had coming into this is how they're gonna get around her just not asking people, did you do it? Because like how do you get past that if you're somebody who's poking around and asking questions about a crime and you're a human lie detector? I don't know. I would just, anybody who I was suspicious of, who I was questioning, I would just be like, hey, did you do it? End of story. They either got to answer or they don't. But I'm going to talk about that later, actually. The idea of they got to answer or they don't. But she's not a detective, but she keeps asking people questions with like a level of authority that sounds like she's a detective, and that always fucked with me too. Like that kind of always pulled me out of it. Like there's a scene where she gets to like questioning Adrian Brody's character, and mind you, I didn't tell you where her character works at this casino as well, the same way Dasha Polanco's character does. So Adrian Brody's character, Sterling Frost, is her boss. She's asking him questions like she is the fucking police, and he's just answering them. And that took me out of it, because I'm like, who the fuck walks into their boss's office and starts demanding answers to questions? I mean, maybe in the white business world, but in the black business world, we don't make a habit of strolling into the offices of our bosses and demanding answers. That never works out well for us. It worked out well for her, but it doesn't work out well for us. But that kind of took me out of it. I'm like, who the fuck does that? But I do want to talk about something that I did like. And there's a lot of things I liked. But I like how everything matters here. Like, I was paying really close attention to everything, not just for my notes, but kind of like, okay, I'm looking for clues. I'm looking for things. And also because I know the conceit, I'm like, okay, we've already established she knows when people can lie. So now I'm looking for that shit. And I like that the show, I think, did a good job of paying attention to those. Actually, I'm going to rephrase this. I like the fact that even scenes that felt kind of like throwaway scenes or something that wouldn't really matter, everything kind of played a part in the big overall picture for this episode. I'll give you an example. About midway through the episode, I posted on Facebook that I had about 17 different things I was ready to call bullshit on. And those things mostly revolved around moments where the audience knows that a character is lying, but Charlie, Natasha Lyonne's character, doesn't outwardly show any knowledge of this, even though obviously we know that she can know if someone's lying. And I'm not saying that she should have shown knowledge of this, But I'm just saying, because she didn't, I don't know that she knows this person is lying. I know the person is lying because I've already seen the crime in the first 10 minutes. So I know the character's lying. I also know that she should know when a character is lying. So when a character lies, I'm like, okay, I know that's a lie. And I'm not a human lie detector. I know that's a lie. I saw what happened. She should also know that that's a lie. So my 17 things was kind of like, if it doesn't come back around that she knew, that she picked up on that, I'm gonna call bullshit. And most of the time it did come back around, so good on them. But like, I really was sitting there like it was like no acknowledgement whatsoever. Not like, not even like a face or anything like that. Like a casual conversation, not a break in speaking. And I'm like, there was one in particular where I'm just like, okay, that was a lie. She should know it's a lie. She didn't react at all, which again is fine. But if it comes out later, or doesn't come out later, that she knew that was a lie, then I'm going to call bullshit, because she should have known it was a lie. That's a hard conceit to keep up. When she could just tell someone's lying just by looking at them, that's a hard conceit to keep up, because there's going to be a lot of lies told that are not going to be visually represented as lies. So that's tough to keep up on. So I'm glad that they did that. Other things that kind of seem like throwaway lines, moments, looks, glances. I believe all of that shit came back to matter later, which I thought was really good. Another example of that, the way that Charlie ultimately ends up figuring out what happened in this first episode revolves around going through her friend Natalie's tablet. I'm not even going to get around. I'm going to talk one moment about, you know what? I'll save it. I'm just going to write it down. Here, I don't normally do this, but I want to write this thing down because I don't want to forget it, and I also don't want to mention it right now. Here, let me write. There we go. All right, cool. I'll put that down there so I can remember that. All right, so where were we? So she's going through her friend Natalie's tablet. This is how we start to kind of conclude the episode and how she ultimately ends up figuring out what happened. She finds a deleted photo that we, the audience, knew was deleted. And it's in the tablet's photos, but it was deleted from her phone. By Adrian Brody's character. And she finds this incriminating photograph among the recently deleted photos in the tablet, along with a bunch of dick pics, which I didn't mind that because they previously established that there were dick pics in the cloud. They established that. And they also had previously established that Natalie and her husband essentially have a family cloud sharing plan. So the idea that a photo could be deleted on the phone, it can be uploaded into the cloud, and they established that Natalie and her husband's cloud is a all family cloud. I'm not gonna say how they established it, but they established Natalie ain't got her own cloud and her husband got one. They have a cloud, and everybody's shit goes into there. So it's feasible that, of course, the picture deleted on a phone could be in the recently deleted of the tablet, along with pictures that were deleted from the husband's phone. So like that kind of thing, that really worked for me, because I like the fact that even though look like something casual like that, like, okay, she's looking through the tablet, she finds the evidence of the deleted phone, like in the deleted pictures, kind of feels like, okay, this is just how you progress towards solving this case. But in this specific example, the fact that they had already set up that this was plausible, I liked that. So I want to talk about a couple of things that took me out of the episode specifically, and a couple of things that I liked, and then I'm going to wrap this one up. So Natalie gets her phone with the aforementioned incriminating photo deleted from it, and she does not look at her phone at all again until she gets home. And mind you, the photo was deleted at her job by her boss after she handed him the phone to show him the picture. He deletes it low-key, locks her phone, gives it back to her. She leaves and goes all the way home. Now, if you're sitting here just like I was, listening to what I just said, you're probably sitting there wondering, she had an incriminating photo on her phone, he deleted it. Who the fuck is not going to look at their phone again all the way till they get home if they have an incriminating photo on it that they just showed to someone? No one is. And that's what it's like, he gives her the phone back as she leaves, and they start talking like they might kill her, and I'm sitting there like, she should already be looking at her back at her phone as soon as she's out that door. Like, make sure he ain't delete that shit. Like, That's the kind of stuff that's where I get taken out of the episode, because I might enjoy all the shit about the mystery and how, like I said, the thing that I explained about how they previously established the photo being in the tablet and throw it, like all that kind of stuff I like. But then there's too many things like that where I'm like, no one's not gonna look at their phone at all after they just showed someone an incriminating photo, handed that person the phone, now they got the phone back and it's locked. Like, you're not gonna just go, and like, even if you don't have an incriminating photo, who leaves work and doesn't even glance at their phone again until they get home? I'm sure there are people who do that. But you get what I'm saying. Broadly speaking, people look at their phones a lot, often. And you're definitely gonna do that if you have an incriminating photo in it that you just showed to someone. So, like, again, that took me out of it. Charlie, Natasha Lyonne's character, jumps out of a 4th-story window in this episode with a bullet wound in her side. I'm not even gonna continue. You already know I'm calling bullshit on that. No fucking way. Ain't no way. Ain't no fucking way. And then she also did something that I hate when I see it in every single television show or movie that I see, and it happens a lot, when someone breaks into somebody's house and just start touching shit. Like, you ain't never watched nothing. Like, nothing. You've never seen, like, I feel like if you do that, you've never seen a TV show ever. You've never seen a movie ever. You've never read a book ever. So that way, the concept of leaving fingerprints is just completely foreign to you. Now, maybe she ain't got no priors and she's not worried about leaving fingerprints. I don't know. I'm going to say, given her history, given her past that we've talked, that is explored a little bit on this episode, I'm going to guess she probably does. But whatever. I hate when people break into crime scenes. Break into people's homes and just start touching shit. Like, anything, like, most of the time it's like a minor grievance. Like, why would you just leave evidence that you were there? Even if nothing ever would come out of it to where they would even search for prints, I still just kind of like, it would be safer to just not do that. Like, put on some gloves. Why would you not put on gloves? Just put on gloves. But she was searching a crime scene, a murder crime scene, the day after it happened. Why are you in there touching shit? Why are you in there touching shit, Charlie? That pissed me off, and that took me out of it. I'm like, what? Like, anyway. Another thing I didn't like, there were a couple attempts at humor that fell really flat for me. It tries to be funny, but it kind of feels like even the humor attempts feel half-assed. So they land half-assed, where it's like, I guess that was meant to be funny. It's like, it doesn't really work. More importantly, and I hope this is only relevant to the pilot, not every episode, despite the name of the show. The idea that being able to tell when someone is lying, the idea that can be useful to you in a poker game, that doesn't work for me. And if the show relies on that, the show is fucked, because I just can't buy that. Like, an advantage in poker would be able to read someone's tell, right? Where if they have a bad hand, if they have a good hand, say they rub their nose or something. I do it all the fucking time. Maybe it's my tell. They rub their nose, something like that. Then you can go, okay, every time this person rubbed their nose, they won the hand. So they must have had a fire hand. So then in the future, when they rub their nose, you're like, oh shit, this person has a fire hand, I'm folding. That's not the same as being able to tell someone's lying. Okay, so same scenario. If you're someone who could tell when someone's lying, how does this help you? It doesn't. Like, that's not a lie. It's a tell. So it's like, he's not being deceptive about what's in his hand. He's not even talking. He or she is not even talking. They're just giving you a signal that lets you know what they're thinking. But they're not lying, so there's nothing for this character to read. So the only way I feel like being able to tell if someone's lying works in a poker game is if you're asking questions, like, or having conversations. And then it might work if they're like, oh boy, I have a shitty hand, man. I'm so tired of losing. And then, like, you can be like, okay, I can tell that person's lying, they have a good hand. But unless you're asking, like, hey, do you have a full house? Like, and they answer, then I don't see what use that has. So, like, I kind of call bullshit on that. But at the same time, I said unless they answer, I like what this show did with not answering. So she asked Frost, again, that's Adrian Brody's character, a question. Again, why is she demanding answers to questions like she the police? But whatever. Especially for people someone who she thinks is a murderer. Like, if you think they're a murderer and they're your boss, why are you in their office alone demanding answers to questions unarmed? But whatever. So she asked him a question that we know the answer to. And we know that if he answers the question honestly, it will incriminate him. And we also know that if he lies, she's gonna know. So she asked him a question and he paused as if to kind of consider, like, what do I say? And then he didn't answer the question. He like steered the conversation a different way. And I like that because on one hand, of course, it made me go, I hope she notes that he didn't answer the question. But I also looked at it like, if she notes that he didn't answer the question, which she should, how does she move from that? Like, what does she do with that information and that knowledge? Because that's not reading that someone's lying, but it's reading that someone's trying to avoid lying to you because they know that you know they're lying. So that's a roundabout way of like lying. So I like that they did it that way, and I think if they kind of lean on that, like a whole lot of like the things that I said I was ready to call bullshit on, like moments where like, okay, if it doesn't come out that she knows that that's a lie, I'm calling bullshit. Now that I know that they're doing that, I feel like the show needs to rely on that. The idea of like people not answering questions, what's she gonna do with the knowledge that they didn't answer questions? And again, like people lying in casual conversation where we can go, oh, I know that's a lie. Is she gonna notice? And if so, what is she gonna do? Like that can help make this show work. And I like that aspect of it. Let's see. What else do I have here, if anything? By the end of the episode, I think this is about, I think I'm close to done here. This is going way longer than I thought for a non-spoiler video. But by the end of the episode, her ability to tell when people are lying seems far less effective than her attention to detail and a seemingly great / photographic memory. And I'm hoping that the show isn't like, it feels like the show is conflating the two things. Like they're not the same, but I feel like the show is treating them as the same. Same as like being able to tell when someone's lying or like, I feel like they think, the writers of the show, which again, Rian Johnson, I feel like they think being able to tell when someone is lying encompasses way more things than it does. Like it doesn't help you in a poker game. And really her ability to solve this case in this first episode relied just as much on her memory, her ability to note things, her ability to remember those things and recall them with great detail. That was just as important, if not more so important, than her ability to know when someone's lying. So I like that, to be clear. I just don't want the show to conflate the two things, because again, I'm ready to call bullshit, and I have my finger on the call bullshit button, and this show makes it so that I keep it there. Like I don't get to leave it and be like, oh, okay, I think I can stop being prepared to call bullshit. I always feel like I need to be ready to call bullshit with this show. But again, that's just one episode, so we'll see. I think I'm ready to wrap up here. I had a couple more things I want to talk about. We're at nearly half an hour, and I think I've said enough, and you guys have a good idea, and I want to wrap up by talking about my plan. So, I don't know what my plan I don't know what my plan is. I'm gonna watch more. I know that. I'm gonna watch more. There's 4 episodes that were released today. The remaining 6 will come out weekly. I will likely watch all 3 tonight, maybe. Whether or not I get a video out tomorrow is going to depend on the performance of this video and how I feel about the show. So we'll see what happens there. If I don't put out any videos tomorrow, you could take that as not necessarily me feeling like I didn't like the show, because another thing about this show, and again, I need more episodes to know, this might not be the kind of show that lends itself to what I do here. There's not a whole lot to analyze. All the analyzing happens while you're watching. Once you're done, there's not really much for me to be like, they did this thing great. It would kind of be me doing like what all the other YouTubers who review television and movies do, which is just recapping what happened like you didn't fucking watch it. I'm not trying to be that person, and I feel like this show, like really that's the most I could do, is really just kind of like recap what happened and be like, oh, I thought that was cool when they did that. I thought that was cool. And I feel like that's not utilizing my best qualities. But again, we'll see. So I may or may not put something out tomorrow. If I don't, tomorrow being Friday, January 27th, if I don't, assume I'll be talking about it on Mike's Musings. So I will see you either tomorrow or on Mike's Musings next month. And until then, peace.